I want to send a shout out to everybody watching us all over the place in New York, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Muscatine, Iowa's in the house.
Oh, yeah.
Kentucky, South Carolina, Oklahoma. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this show and telling people about a Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
and Duke Gomez-Schempp,
here on 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo-Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Tonight, I will be talking about Code Pink's Caravan connections. And incidentally, how I figured out those connections, or how I'm starting to look more clearly at those connections. I'd already looked at Code Pink and saw some of the interesting intersections, but there's definitely connections to be made. I will be telling you about all of that tonight. I am really overwhelmed with the outpouring of information that I've been getting from listeners and viewers throughout the country and Mexico. Thank you to all of you. A mis colegas periodistas en México, les mando un fuerte abrazo, un saludo a todos ustedes, saying hello to all of the people that are helping give us the information that we really need about what is happening at our southern border, about what is happening with this caravan in Mexico. I've been exposing it here on the Mexican Crossing Lines, and I have you guys to thank for updating me on all of the information you've been sending. So thanks very much for that. Duke, how can folks keep sending us stuff, and how can they support our work?
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for watching and for supporting us. There's so many people that have. Oh, my camera is frozen. Let me fix that real quick. I'll go off for a second and I'll go back on. Okay, there I am. Lighting's a little bit weird, but hey, at least I'm on the screen. Thank you for all the support you've given us, mainly by watching us, supporting us. I noticed that our show's a lot more watched now. We've been expanding the interviews we do. We've been bringing information that no one else has. We really appreciate that, and people have been sending us so much information by many ways. Some people call, some people email, some people Facebook, some people tweet. I'll tell you how to do all those things. If you want to give us a message on our message line, which is up to 3 minutes, you can call 701-566-0917. You can tweet us at media_PPP. You can email Cindy at kpppfm.com or me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. You can also follow Cindy on her public page by searching on Facebook at Cindy Go Schempp. And you can follow our radio station on Facebook at 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead, our nonprofit Facebook site, the People's Press Project, and Mexi-Can. Also, you can go to kpppfm.com and you can check out our our latest podcasts, our videos. Our videos go up on YouTube at Duke 1517. That is the channel. One moment.
One moment, please. You okay there?
I keep on freezing. I don't know why. I know it is really frozen up here.
It is.
It's so frozen
that the camera freezes.
The camera freezes. And that seems to be happening. It's happened twice to me in the show already. I apologize for that.
I hope
but there I am again. Otherwise, I'll just be still. I'll be talking. My lips won't move. I'll just put them behind the microphone and be still. But I was saying that you can go to kpppfm.com and you can check out our latest shows on Mexican Crossing Lines. And basically, we have our YouTube videos up there. We've been taking the Facebook Live videos and we've been uploading them to YouTube so they're in high definition. We do that nightly after every show. And then within a day or so, I get them back on the website. On the website, I'll prepare the audio to go on the local radio station because we are a nonprofit, non-commercial, community-run radio station. So people in the Red River Valley, Fargo, North Dakota, Moorhead, Minnesota, can hear these programs on the air at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, where Mexican Crossing Lines plays. Now, if you want to see those YouTube videos, go to Duke 1517. That is the channel. And also on our website, kpppfm.com. Please don't hesitate to go to the /donate tab, kpppfm.com, donate. You can go right there to the tab and you can make a tax-deductible contribution to our station so we can help provide the programming that you are listening to and watching today. And, the donations are tax deductible because they're legit nonprofit, and it helps us run the station, pay for the bills to put the signal up the tower and to the whole community, and the electricity and the different things we need to actually run a station. So we appreciate everyone who's been helping us, and thank you very much. If you make a donation, want your name mentioned, we'll mention you on the air. So also, if you have a business, you can do underwriting, where we actually do something that looks kind of like advertisement, but it's called underwriting. The FCC regulates how we can do those. But your business could be highlighted on our radio station, and thousands and thousands and thousands of ears will hear your name, hear your products, hear what you do. And that sort of a reach would be wonderful for you and for us.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, we got Green Bay, Wisconsin in the house, Missouri, Arizona, New Jersey, Michigan, Idaho. Everybody's watching tonight, Duke.
All
I am
right.
so happy because you're going to want to hear what we have to say. Listen, I'm going to get right to it, okay?
All right.
The last show I did, I told you, I had an interview with Pastor Albert Rivera of the Agape Church in Tijuana. And I told you, or I should say, he told you about what took place in his shelter with this caravan, and how the Caravan Support Network activists, the American activists, were giving a child and other migrants in the shelter crystal meth and marijuana. And in addition to that, he talked about a kidnapping that took place of this unaccompanied minor named Carlos. That child is still missing. I also want to talk about the fact that he talked about Al Otro Lado working with the Caravan Support Network and giving misleading information, misleading legal advice to the caravan. Excuse me. In addition to fake marrying a couple and then using or telling them to use the documents from that fake marriage for their asylum claim. Oh my God, Duke. I'm choking.
It must be from that dry air. See, it's so cold. How cold is it? It's so cold that it's Cindy's coffee, and it's so cold that my screen is frozen, and it is freezing up here. I mean, we've had so much snow. It's up to my chest in our backyard, and I don't know how we're going to deal with it when it starts melting. But it's cold in the houses, it's cold in the cars, it's cold everywhere you go. You go to the grocery store, and your fruit freezes by the time you get home. You can throw a glass of water in the air, and it'll freeze before it hits the ground. I mean, it's like, it has not been pleasant, and we're heading on March here, and we're hoping that, March is obviously going to come in like a lion. Hopefully it leaves like a lamb. But we really need to, to be concerned about weather. It's been happening across the whole country. We've had unusually low temperatures, and it's just not going to be good for us. The only thing that's good for us with this really cold temperatures is that we have less bugs in the summertime. It's the only plus I can think of.
Well, thank you for taking the mic for a minute. I have been having a hard time, especially today, because I went out and translated for a citizenship interview. And so I've been using my voice a lot today, which has kind of taken a little bit out of me. But I am ready to go. I want to tell you all about where I went. I went down a rabbit hole. So I showed you the Venmo of the lead person that Pastor Albert Rivera identified in the video that he sent us of kidnapping this child.
Mm-hmm.
That was River Doherty. So now we were looking at the Venmo of this person. I showed you that the first person that he's paid recently on that Venmo in my last show is a woman by the name of Patricia. Is it Patricia Kahn? So I wanted to show you some of the people on her friends list. Paula Kahn.
Paula Kahn.
Sorry.
This is Paula Kahn's friend list. Okay.
Paula Kahn's friend list. So let's start with some of the people that I found on her friend list. Brenda Gutierrez, otherwise known as Birdie Gutierrez. She works with I believe she's running the Caritas shelter in Tijuana, where all of those donations have been going.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, we have another account of hers. There's Birdie Gutierrez. The other one was Brenda Gutierrez.
Ah, okay.
She's also friends with Digital smoke signals, Myron Dewey.
Oh, boy.
In addition to that, she's friends with both the guy that said that one of the children in those famous pictures that are everywhere now, that when they went to the border in November, and they had the violent clash with the Border Patrol, and there was all these people there to take pictures of the mother and the two kids running. Jeremy White was one of the first people to spread the lie that a child had died.
Oh, okay, I remember that.
No child died, but he was the one that first spread that lie. And also on the same one, I believe, is his girlfriend, Michelle Aline.
Let's see where she is.
She's right next to it says Bernie right there. I think she's going to be working on the Bernie campaign because she just got hired as an executive assistant of events coordinator at political consultant firm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing. In addition to that, she is friends with Patrisse Cullors, one of the founders of Black Lives Matter, co-founder of Black Lives Matter, in fact. And she is also friends with Madeline Kelly Merritt, Monica Brasco-Kurka, and Jodie Evans. Now, Jodie Evans is really important here because she's the co-founder, I should say, of Code Pink.
Okay.
And I'm going to get to the Code Pink connection here in a minute. I was like, ugh, she's friends with the Code Pink co-founder. What? How's she friends with the founders of all of these movements? Not just, any schmo. And then Monica Brasov-Kurka, which is right below that, I will get to in a minute. But if you see in the middle, you've got Madeline Kelly Merritt, the founder of Activate Now, the leader of Divest LA, the candidate for I don't remember what. She's, in politics as well. Actress Madeline Kelly Merritt. She's got Divest LA and Research and Policy. But she left out Activate Now. I guess she didn't want to claim that now since it's associated to the kidnapping of a child, a young woman, and the brutal kidnapping and raping of, what was her name again? I forgot what her name was. Anyway, her rapist has been convicted and is now in jail. In addition to that, she's also friends with Isreal Gold and Lilith Sinclair. I'm going to talk more about Isreal Gold. She also works for Code Pink. And incidentally, and you can look this up, she was one of the people in today's story that I'm going to share with you that was stopped in Israel as being part of a terrorist organization.
Oh, yeah.
And either I can't remember if she wasn't let in or if she was deported, one of the two. But we've heard that a lot with the folks that we've been looking at, right? Like the Al Otro Lado lawyers, like the people that we talked about in the past went to Israel. And I'm going to bring that up again, especially for my new listeners and followers, because you need to make these connections. So I'm going to help you make them. And she's also friends with the actress that was raising money for the school that never was, that is now a bus, I guess, that she says she's going to start in Mexico, as if the Mexican government would give a foreigner the right to educate children in Mexico. Estefania Rebelon. Remember her?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's go down this rabbit hole and talk more. By the way, I haven't gone through carefully all of her friends list. She's got 2,000 some friends, but I did start to look. I glanced at it, and I also found Alex Mensing, and I'll be talking more about that person later. Tony Cervantes, which was detained with Myron Dewey at the border. Well, I don't know if she was questioned and detained, but he was for 9 hours. He had his phone confiscated. Aldo Seoane, the current boyfriend of Desiree Kane, and Messiah Sweetgrass, one of the people, incidentally, that's not her real name, but one of the people, incidentally, and her real name is Messiah Ebony Bursiaga Hamid.
Oh,
That's her
okay.
real name.
Yeah, that's why I didn't remember it.
But Messiah Sweetgrass was one of the people that made a false allegation that put an innocent woman in jail for 6 months. That's what these people are capable of. They will make up fake crimes. They will lie. And then when they are caught, they dig their heels in further because they don't want all of this network to fall apart. And so I think that the story of how this group connected to the Caravan Support Network in Al Otro Lado were involved in fraudulent asylum claims, fake marriages, kidnapping of a child, and distributing drugs to the caravan.
Wow.
And that all comes from my last report, which was an interview with Pastor Rivera. So if you haven't seen those, please go back and watch. And I will have Nemo share those shows in the comments of this program so you can go and check it out. Also, I wanted to show you that she is friends with this Code Pink founder. Here is a little bit more about Code Pink for those of you who are not familiar with Code Pink.
This is from a wiki page. The Code Pink, Women for Peace, often stylized as Code Pink.
It's an internationally active NGO that describes itself as the grassroots peace and social justice movement working to end U.S.-funded wars and occupations, to challenge militarism globally, and to redirect our resources into healthcare, education, green jobs, and other life-affirming activities. In addition to its focus on anti-war issues, it has taken action on issues such as drones, including protests, trips to meet with drone victims in Pakistan and Yemen, bringing them to the U.S., Guantanamo Bay Prison, including a delegation that included former prisoners, and yearly protests at the White House, Palestinian statehood, including its involvement in the BDS movement.
Okay.
That's important.
Yep.
Put a pin in that. To protest Ahava, SodaStream, Remax, and Airbnb. The Iran nuclear deal, Saudi Arabia, which protests to end U.S. alliance with Saudi Arabia, its airstrikes on Yemen, and its executions of its political dissidents, and Women Cross DMZ. The organization characterizes itself as woman-initiated. It has regional offices in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., and many more chapters in the U.S. as well as in several other countries. With members wearing the group's signature pink color, Code Pink has conducted marches, protests, and high-visibility actions in order to promote its goals. Although women initiated and lead the group, Code Pink encourages people of all genders to participate in its activities.
Wow.
It was founded in November of 2002 by Americans Jodie Evans and Medea Benjamin and other activists. The group's name is a play on the United States Department of Homeland Security's color-coded alert system, in which, for example, Code Orange and Code Red signify the highest levels of danger. I think that you should really research this group more, because they have some interesting background, and I'm not going to be able to unpack everything about Code Pink today because it would take me too much time. And I want to give you shows that are in more digestible pieces. So, but I'm going to take you through a little bit of a
orientation.
Sort of, yes, and I'm going to connect it to some other things. I want to start off by sharing an article. Wait, did we skip one? Yes. Paula Friend Code Pink. So this is Paula Kahn posting about Code Pink. Jodie Evans, which is one of the co-founders. She says, "Yo, please click on this link and give it a listen. Never worked so hard on something with this gravity of seriousness in my life. Working with Jodie Evans of Code Pink and Ciara Taylor of the Dream Defenders on this." Remember that. It is the first grassroots tribunal of its kind, and it'll be available on live stream December 1 and 2. And then she gives the time at iraqtribunal.org. Anyone can tune in with internet access, blah, 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 blah. So scroll to the side, please. And, oh no. Okay, go down. Sorry. Keep going. And there's an article attached saying activists hold People's Tribunal on Iraq War 13 years after Bush launched Rising Up with Sonali. And then, is there any comments? No, okay, we're good. Next we have Paula Kahn. Why do I keep calling her Patricia?
I don't know.
Something wrong with me tonight.
Oh, well.
With Jodie Evans again. And I want to show you how often she works with and posts Jodie Evans. There's one post, the first one I showed you. Next, there's one with Code Pink LA. And next, there is one with... can you please go back and scroll through that post so we can look at all the different posts here? This one is with a press release. And there's another one with Code Pink New York City on Yemen. Another one with just her and Jodie, and she's telling her how much she loves her and is eternally grateful for her in her life. Mm-hmm. She says, thank you for being unapologetically authentic yourself and for modeling a beautiful free spirit. Then there's another one sharing Nicole Ramos's post from Al Otro Lado. And then there's another one, and it's with Rage Against the Machine something. Is there any more? Yes, there is. There's another one with Angela Davis. What else do we got? That's it. There's actually more, but, I just wanted to give you an assortment. It's not just a one-off thing. They work closely together. And then I wanted to share with you this article about Code Pink growing a local peace economy to support asylum seekers. This is from codepink.org's own website. And in it, they talk about a video that they made. It was about going to Tijuana. So Code Pink took donations to Tijuana for the Caravan. What part of the Caravan got these donations and support?
Who knows?
She also, I know, it's Bertie Gutierrez.
Okay.
Come on now. Also, she mentions that they are part of, and this is very important, the sanctuarycaravan.org. Remember sanctuarycaravan.org? I will share the link in the comments so that you can go check it out. It's part of that group of the clergy that was down there, that was shared by Mohammed Al-Nakib, and that was supported by Linda Sarsour, that went to Tijuana to get arrested at the beach. And of course, in this article, there is a picture of Paula Kahn with Jodie Evans, and they're, taking the donations, and I think she's got some other picture of Gillibrand, and they talk about Enclave Caracol and El Barretal. They also mention that, let's see, I think there's something else in here I wanted to point out. There's a Democracy Now! Video attached to this. But there's a lot of information in this article about who they're working with and what their goal is with this drive for support. I also wanted to share with you the picture of them in Tijuana. This is Code Pink, Jodie Evans in Tijuana. She says, just finished filling the truck and we are off to San Diego, Tijuana this morning for the sanctuarycaravan.org. You can find out more at codepink.org/caravan, #asylum seekers. So excited to have the support to something of Roya Ajori, Shari Rezai, Amita Nanji, and Patricia Folkrod. Thank you to the amazing generosity for those in the local peace economy team. And at Code Pink LA, we are on our way to connect with Paula Graciela Kahn and Kelly Curry. And then there she is, and standing next to a U-Haul full of things. And then it looks like somebody's house where they were possibly collecting these things to begin with. And if you scroll down, it shows them, looks like they're, warehousing them somewhere and then putting them in there. And then I wanted to show you Paula Kahn and the connections to the Jewish Voices for Peace. She's sharing a Linda Sarsour quote, the Women's March, Linda Sarsour, which says, quote, "If you want to know if you're going the right way, follow women of color, sisters and brothers. We know where we need to go, and we know where justice is because we fight for justice. We fight for it for all people, for all our communities. I am my Palestinian grandmother who lives in occupied territories' wildest dream, and I'm so proud to be here. Justice for all." And below you see, that's a video from ABC News, and it was shared by Jewish Voices for Peace. Do we have any comments? Okay, nothing to the right? No. Okay, cool. Then I wanted to show you the Paula Kahn post where she's actually defending Linda Sarsour and tags her. So they're friends. Yo, Linda Sarsour is being attacked by the media by racists, xenophobes, and Islamophobes who are spreading misinformation about her, falsely calling her a terrorist and an anti-Semite. She is one of the 3 main organizers of the Women's March and is a Muslim Palestinian American who has been doing incredible human rights work for the Muslim and Black communities in the U.S. Take some time today to learn about her and her important work, and keep an eye out for any hashtags that may counter the attacks directed her way. Check out the trending hashtag on Twitter, Standing with Linda, March with Linda. And then she shared an article. In this next post from Facebook, Jodie Evans, I went to check out her page, and lo and behold, right at that moment, she was live.
Oh, okay.
She was live at that moment, and I was floored when I saw who was on this panel with Jodie Evans of Code Pink. It was none other than Jay Ponti, the guy that was raising money with Estefania Rebelon for that school that never was, and Frances effing Fisher.
Oh, man.
This woman is everywhere. Can you go to the right a little bit more? There's Jay Ponti. And I will show you, is there tags on this post at all at the top? No. So I'm going to show you another screen capture, and I will share these live stream links with you, the one from Jodie Evans' Facebook page and the one from Frances Fisher's Facebook page. But this is a screen capture from Frances Fisher's Facebook page because she was live streaming at the same time also. So it's called Jodie Evans, Jay Ponti, Frances Fisher. We're in scene 3. There they are. And they're all facing toward the camera in this one. You see Jay Ponti in the front. And then there's the Code Pink lady, Jodie Evans. And then there is Frances Fisher.
Wow.
They were talking about chemtrails, people. Chemtrails. I invite you to go watch this craziness for yourselves. And I will share the links to their Facebook video so you can see for yourself. And I was like, could they have been more clear about their connections to each other in their criming? And the answer is no. Here is the Frances Friends picture. This is another one that I took that shows her a little bit better, so you can see it's definitely Frances Fisher, and it's from her own page that she is live. You know what's really weird, Duke? They only had 2 people watching the Code Pink ladies.
Yeah.
They have this massive network, right? Thousands and thousands of followers, potentially millions of followers of their groups. Frances Fisher is an actress in Hollywood. She had 5 people on the live stream almost the entire time it was on. What do you make of this craziness? Well, it was almost like it was for an exclusive audience or something.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, is what these numbers were so low. You know, in fact, the 2 screenshots you showed, I remember when these were going on, and it was like, they're on live, we've got to download these videos once they're done, and it's like, and we're on them the whole time. They were well over an hour each of them, and it's like, how come there's such little numbers? And I don't understand why that's the way it is. And you know, exclusive audience, maybe there's a bunch of people in a room watching them at that time. You know, it's really hard to tell, but those numbers do surprise me. And I know it takes, if you haven't been live streaming and people haven't been coming to your page, but that's Frances Fisher's Facebook page. I mean, that's, you know, it's like, you would think there would be thousands of people watching at that time.
It's almost like it was like something that was only for certain people, because you notice what I noticed that when I found River Doherty's page, Apoyo Caravana, and there was only one video live streamer whose videos were ending up on this page, and that was Clinton Reyes. By the way, Clinton took his page down too.
Okay.
He's probably got a fake account that he's live streaming from now, or somebody else's account. And, you know, Apoyo Caravana, River Doherty's page, is still putting out this material. But when I watched the videos on Reyes Clinton's page, there was only 2 shares, 2 people watching. You know, 1 person, 2 people, 3 people. And I thought, this guy is the exclusive source of videos for Apoyo Caravana that is being shared by all of these people helping the caravan and coordinating the caravan. And there's only a few people watching? Well, what that says to me is that the people that were watching must be pretty important.
Yeah.
Right? Because one of them was Sam Slovic, and he's connected to Seven McDonald, the PR lady in Hollywood.
You know, and you know, I'm just guessing here though. You know, it's like Facebook says you're not supposed to multi-stream, and you can, like, you know, the software we use, you can do multi-streams on all sorts of platforms. I wouldn't be surprised if the folks were actually cross-streaming on other platforms, because the software can actually hide that. Facebook doesn't like you to do that, and you can get your streams taken down. But with such low numbers, with this information that's being disseminated to so many people, I'm just guessing. I don't have any proof of it, but that would be a tactic I would think that, you know, would make the Facebook that the stuff's going out there to a few select, but then it's actually being disseminated someplace else more broadly.
Yeah, but I also think that I don't think that they wanted people to find out the source of the videos was Reyes Clinton. I don't think that they wanted to find out the source. You know, I think that there's some exclusivity, but I guess this is all conjecture too. So I'm just going off of things I've noticed, things that make you go, So I also wanted to show you some pictures from her Facebook page, just a reminder of who some of the people that she hangs out with at Standing Rock were. Here's some pictures from 2017, and Patricia Arquette and her sister are in the picture. Rosanna Arquette with Frances Fisher.
Okay.
And what's the date on this picture, Duke?
Let's have a look.
It looks like they're in some cold location, like maybe Standing Rock. Is that the casino gift shop behind them? Does that look like the casino?
It kind of looks like it. I can't quite affirm that, but it's...
It does look like it, but I can't be sure. I can't be for sure.
May 3rd, 2017.
And then there is Frances Fisher, of course, with Jane Fonda, the other person that she took out to Standing Rock. And they are with none other than the founder of, but not poster in, Indigenous Life Movement. That platform has hardly ever been touched by the indigenous founder of this page. Instead, a white guy from New Jersey named Doug McLean, who's also been detained and questioned by Homeland Security, is running it. And when was this picture posted, Duke?
Let's have a look. It was on Francis Fisher's page.
Yep. Also in May of 2017.
Yep.
And guess who's posting there? It's Jay Ponti.
Oh, yeah.
See how closely these folks work together? I mean, it's almost non-stop since Standing Rock. Probably they were coordinating even before.
Yeah.
Is there more? Is there more comments? Can you scroll up and see? There's more from Jay Ponti. And then we have this from one of the articles that I looked up about Code Pink that included Code Pink. And this is from the article, The American Thinker, and I will share the link to this article in the comments of my show so you can go and check the whole thing out for yourself. It's from September 4, 2014. It's The Democrats' Anti-Woman, Anti-Gay Elephant in the Room is the title of it. And it says that the desire of most Republicans to protect the unborn has been speciously transmogrified into hatred of women and a plot to control their reproductive systems and ultimately their lives. It's what prompted Code Pink to protest at the Republican National Convention with members dressed as vaginas to graphically bring home what they perceive as a war on women by Republicans. Then it goes on to talk about a prayer dinner that took place. I want you to read what's on this graphic, Duke, for the audience.
Okay. The opening prayer was led by Sarsour Wahaj, an advocate for an Islamic State in America, a potentially unindicted co-conspirator in the first World Trade Center bombing, and a member of CAIR. Event organizer Jibril Haug has ties to Islamic terrorists and as the imam of a Muslim Brotherhood-owned mosque in Charlotte. That mosque is listed by the U.S. Justice Department as an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest terror finance case in U.S. history. The Muslim-friendly Democrats have stayed mum on the subject of this omnibus gathering in the shadow of their own convention. The silence is not surprising, given the recent Democratic response to an expose on the infiltration of the U.S. government by the Muslim Brotherhood. I have to go back down and scroll up a little bit on this.
Okay. It says, 6 weeks ago, 5 brave members of Congress.
6 weeks ago, 5 brave members of Congress, led by Michelle Bachmann, reported on the government infiltration and the MB goal to achieve a grand jihad,
Muslim Brotherhood,
to eliminate and destroy Western civilization from within, until GD's religion, Islam, is made victorious over all other religions. Instead of registering concern about the well-documented strategy to Islamize America and impose Sharia, Democrats accuse the congressmen of Islamophobia and McCarthyism. Yet Democrats claim to stand for women's rights, homosexual rights, and the separation of church and state, in direct contrast to the tenets of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
The hypocrisy of the left's defense of Islam is glaringly obvious when it comes to its treatment of women, which goes far beyond decisions about abortion and birth control. The left feminist sisters may think that Republicans want to repeal women's rights, but the Quran, 4:34, expressly states Allah has made men superior to women because men spend their wealth to support them.
Good. Okay. Now, the important part of that was the part about the Imam, Sarsour Wahaj, being an unindicted co-conspirator and his proximity to Linda Sarsour.
Yeah.
I wanted to point this out because in my past show, Desert Storm, I covered all of that, and you should really go and watch that show. I will have Nemo share it in the comments of this program so you can check it out for yourselves. But we need to understand where Linda Sarsour really got her start. And I want to show you BDS, Los Angeles Dream Defenders here, showing BDS Los Angeles for Justice in Palestine, dated January 10, 2015, where they were on Twitter talking about the best recap of their trip to Palestine in 2015. And if you scroll down, oh, that's it. Okay. Oh, there it is. There's a picture. You show that they show a group of people, a delegation of people that went to Israel. Then, and they've gone since then. But here's Dream Defenders with Boycott, Divest, and Sanction, which is considered a group that I showed you extensively, has ties to anti-Semitism and also to, you know, people like Linda Sarsour's support of these terrorist organizations. It says hashtag Throwback Thursday beautiful solidarity video with activists from across the U.S. and Palestinian and Nazareth Dream Defenders DD Palestine solidarity demonstration in Nazareth. This is Black Lives Matter in solidarity with BDS Ferguson to Palestine. That's why when we were at Standing Rock, we saw Linda Sarsour, and they brought Palestine, and they were talking about how we're the same, our struggles are the same, and I was like, what? And then when they started bringing BDS and the Palestine people into the conversation about the border wall in the United States, I'm like, why are you mixing all of these things up and conflating them together? Remember us talking about that, Duke?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
What are your thoughts about it?
Well, you know, the whole situation to me was like, I was trying to figure out what was going on. And, you know, the connection to Standing Rock, and it's like, what are they professing? And it was very obvious it was anti-Semitic. It was, and it was catching on. And it was like, aren't these folks like really listening to what they're saying and what they're professing? And at the time, I had very limited knowledge of who these people were. Since that time, you've covered them so much, and you've covered those incidences so much that it's like, I'm still in there. They're still going at it. They're still going at it. And, you know, I have a big problem with that because it seems like no one's holding them accountable because, they're scared of criticizing people that are supposedly working with, you know, the left, you know, the progressives. And actually what they are is that they're actually far right and radical right and infiltrating, and people are hiding it. It seems obvious that they're hiding it.
They're very radical. They have tendencies to very negative things that include violence and, you know, advocating for no more state of Israel, getting rid of Israel. So there's some problems with what they advocate for. Next, I have the Jewish Voices connection, Jewish Voices for Peace connection to Black Lives Matter, to the Dream Defenders delegation in Palestine. And finally, this is Dream Defenders Linda Sarsour. Take a look. Why don't you go to the very top of this post, Duke, first?
All right.
Uh-oh. Is it possible to move it? It's Linda Sarsour.
Yes, I know it is.
Okay. This, at the very top there, says Dream Defenders.
Okay.
This is how Linda got her start, really. Doing Dream Defenders.
I see.
So, if you scroll up, before the Women's March, there was this. Can you read these?
Yeah, one moment.
One moment, please.
Linda Sarsour. You know, we've seen a lot of her, haven't we? Linda Sarsour is a working woman, radical justice and civil rights activist, every Islamophobe's worst nightmare, and mother of three. Ambitious, outspoken, and independent, Linda shatters stereotypes of Muslim women while also treasuring her religious and...
Is that all we have?
Yeah, and that it was.
Okay, read that.
Dream Defenders was founded in 2012 to make powerful change come to Florida. The time is now.
So that's where she got her start. And here in this Women's March anti-Semite article, Women's March anti-Semite article right there. This is a tweet by John Paul Pagano, who asks, why can't Tamika Mallory quit Farrakhan? Why is the left inert to anti-Semitism? Let me explain in The Atlantic. So he wrote an article in The Atlantic, which I recommend that you go check out, about the Women's March and their problem, their Farrakhan problem, their Linda Sarsour, Tamika Mallory support of anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan. And it says the group refuses to be accountable to a high-level alliance with an open anti-Semite. So this is something that is pretty well known, but people seem to be terrified to talk about.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about it.
No.
But it's problematic. And I don't know why the left is allowing this kind of hate to pollute the anti-fascist, the BAM, why are they allowing the Democratic Party or the left to be polluted with this stuff?
Yeah.
If you want the party to still exist, I would get these people out. Nancy Pelosi put a slap down on Ilhan Omar for her anti-Semitic rhetoric against AIPAC. And as I said, there was a very sorry, not sorry type of apology that came out of her. It was pretty disturbing. And we see this trend where these folks get to practice hatred and anti-Semitism and violence and then say, I'm the real victim here. Yeah. I am the one that's actually being attacked. They're doing it because I am a Muslim. They're doing it because they're racist. They're Islam. And it's absolutely redonkulous. I want to show you the board of Dream Defenders. This is very interesting. On it are author Michelle Alexander, associate professor of law. She wrote the book, The New Jim Crow, and it's about mass incarceration. And if you scroll down, you will also find Karen Blair. Don't know who he is. He's National Director, Alliance to Reclaim Our Schools. And he's an organizer. And then we have Angela Davis. Angela Davis. And then after her, we have Alana Greer, Attorney, Community Justice Project. Then Pastor Michael McBride, Director of Urban Strategies and Lifeline to Healing Campaign, PICO. I'm not sure what that stands for. Nope. Then if you scroll down, we have Rafael Navar, National Political Director, Communication Worker of America. And then there's Linda Sarsour.
Linda Sarsour.
Executive Director, Arab American Association of New York. Okay? And do you want to read that real quick, Duke?
It's kind of similar to what she had on the other thing. Executive Director of Arab American Association of New York. Ambitious, outspoken, independent, Linda shatters the stereotypes of Muslim women while also treasuring her religious and ethnic heritage. She's a Palestinian Muslim American, self-proclaimed pure New Yorker. Born and raised in Brooklyn, she is executive director for the Arab American Association of New York, a nonprofit social service and advocacy organization serving the Arab American and Arab immigrant communities in New York City. In 2013,
she became. No.
Yeah, I had to switch so I can move it. In 2013, she co-founded the Muslim Democratic Club of New York, the first of its kind in New York City. In the wake of police murder of Mike Brown, she co-founded Muslims for Ferguson to build solidarity amongst American Muslim communities and encourage work against police brutality. She's a member of the Justice League of New York City, a leading New York City force of activists, formerly incarcerated individuals, and artists working to reform the New York Police Department and the criminal justice system. And she's also an anti-Semite.
Okay.
Doesn't say that there, though.
And then I wanted to show you where are we?
Scene 7.
Okay. Paula Kahn picture with Angela Davis. This is on her Facebook page.
Wow.
So if you go to the right there, we can read what she says.
All right.
This is Paula Graciela Kahn. And it says, abolition. This is from April of 2017. Abolition isn't just about destroying something. It's about creating something new. What kind of society do we need where we don't rely on the police to have security? Abolition forces us to think broadly in long-term visions. We're working on a long historical continuum, so our work will have an impact on those to come. We are the materialized dreams of those who struggle against slavery. They dreamt of a free society. We are those who inhabit those dreams today. We would not be here if they had not fought for the dreams of freedom. Think about how our dreams will constitute space for those who come after us. We have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world. And it's a quote from Angela Davis.
From April 17.
April 17, right. That's a message that we've heard a lot, that we need to get rid of all of the existing institutions. Do you suppose that has anything to do with all of their close-knit ties to anarchists?
Maybe.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, anarchists are about destroying government, right?
Well, it's like, not utilizing government, not utilizing institutions, fighting against that sort of control, basically not having that sort of control in society, that the people actually are in control of society, and those institutions, are basically need to be gotten rid of, and so I see it's like, I think the anarchists, are reflective of what the hippies were doing in the 60s, especially, most anarchists are white. Come on. Anarchist movement is a white movement, and it's basically more, tried to be more radical. It was connected to music. It was a very young people's movement. And I think that they're mimicking a lot of the stuff that the people that were a part of the civil rights and the community change, so I think it's very similar.
Yes. And I wanted to show you something else that I found on her Facebook page that it just keeps turning up, and it's a little disturbing to me. This one is a post of solidarity with allies that are sex workers. I say that it's troubling to me because one of the sex workers that I just recently talked to you about, not Doug Warren, who's at the Somesec, Texas, Floresville, Texas camp with Antifa leader Evan K. Duke.
Yeah.
But instead, Lilith Sinclair, one of the people, incidentally, who was in this WhatsApp group chat where the activists from Caravan Support Network were trying to negotiate with the pastor Rivera of Agape Church over the kidnapping of an unaccompanied minor. And I mean, I have not had the chance to verify all the names in that group chat, and also get the original screenshots from the whole thing. But from what I've been sent, Lilith Sinclair is one of the people commenting on the kidnapping of this child.
Okay.
And what these folks are saying is truly jaw-dropping. It's jaw-dropping that they would try to negotiate about whether or not they should return a child in a country they're not even part of, Mexico. As if their entitled view of the world allows them to dictate the laws in a foreign country and break the laws in a foreign country with impunity, as it appears that they have done. Here's that post. Sex work allies. Have you checked into your friends with your friends today to see how they're doing? Back page. I taught you guys all what that was. I mean, I had to learn what it was, but maybe you guys already knew and I was just late to the game. Backpage is the largest venue for advertising, and its shutdown censorship by the U.S. government has resulted in many people losing some, most, or all of their income. Did you not see Sinclair and Doug Warren complaining about this?
Yes.
And the post that I showed you?
I remember, yeah.
Do you see that they share this? And then it goes on. Most people don't even know this is happening, but it's a huge deal for undocumented sex workers, like the ones that Pitaya Queen was trafficking.
Yep, exactly.
Trans sex workers, like the one that Pitaya Queen was trafficking. And others whose main source of income has been tyrannically censored by the U.S. government, and while they stimulously face discrimination in getting employed. I will also tell you that in previous shows where I covered Pitaya Queen, I showed you numerous reports from Tijuana in which they talked about how Tijuana is, it's not illegal prostitution is not illegal. So the problems with, sex workers, they're on the border being murdered, being robbed, all the things with trafficking children. The level is amped up at the border. They also were talking about how, many of the sex workers that they thought were coming in from Central America were doing sex work there. And they alluded to the fact that their intent was, or they had been told, remember the butterfly sanctuary? This not the one at the border, guys. There is a butterfly sanctuary shelter rehabilitation center for queer and transgender people in Tijuana that was used by OJ Pitaya, Queen, Roberto Nakayeflot, the transgender Harvard graduate student working with the Caravan Support Network, and Mark Lane and Bertie Gutierrez, that was trafficking people from Central America through Mexico and into the United States. The same one that brought Roxana Hernandez and didn't tell anybody that she had AIDS, and then left her in a detention facility to die, where she did die. But also the very fact that they're talking openly about sex work in regards to the migrants, and they're part of the Caravan support work. I mean, it's astounding.
It is.
Can you comment on that, dude?
Well, it has thrown me a bit, because it's like, here's the leadership, supposed leadership, and they're talking about sex work, and it's like, we should be accepting of people and what they do and non-judgmental, but it's like they're the front face of this organization that's supposedly supposed to be working with the migrant caravan, and they're not. They're actually exploiting, but they're being really upfront with with all these discussions very publicly about sex work and, I wish, this whole Backpage thing has been, taken down and it's hard for me to actually get work. I really miss it, and it's like they're reminiscing about something and it's like, we're like, this is public and this is like, this was like private stuff going on. I'd understand, but this is public discussion that they're having and they're putting it on their Facebook pages and putting it on organization pages. It just throws me. It throws me when I see that.
This is one of the people that's working very closely with the founder of Code Pink.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanting to point that out. Can you put that graphic back up for me? Let me finish reading it. Or you finish reading it, dude.
Let's see.
Where did I leave off? In their income. Most people don't even know this is happening, but it's a huge deal for undocumented sex workers. The tyrannical censorship of U.S. government, and while simultaneously facing discrimination and getting employed.
People are going to be forced deeper underground, and conditions will be much less safe for sex workers, and sex trafficking will be less traceable. Backpage provided a cyberspace that also...
Whoa. Are they trying to say that Backpage provided a way to track sex trafficking?
Yes.
What am I missing here?
People are being forced deeper underground, and conditions will be much less safe for sex workers, and sex trafficking will be less traceable because of getting rid of this
Backpage.
Yeah, that's what makes you wonder what was going on with that then.
The reason they got rid of Backpage was because of the sex trafficking and the open prostitution.
Yeah. So getting rid of it is going to make it less traceable because you could trace it right there in front of everyone.
What?
That's a weird argument.
Can you please keep going? I don't understand it, but go ahead. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense.
People are going to be forced deeper underground and conditions will be much less safe for sex workers and sex trafficking will be less traceable. Backpage provided a cyberspace that also could be helpful in identifying non-consensual exchanges.
Really? How?
Well, it's just probably right out there, and they could just see what's going on with people because it was public. I don't know why you would want to keep it around then. Talk about this.
I don't know how to talk about it. You don't make any sense.
This is an attack on a community that has been criminalized and alienated systemically. Sex work is not a taboo.
Yes, but kidnapping children who are unaccompanied minors is.
Yes. It's the oldest profession around, and sex workers deserve dignity, just like any other laborer.
Yes, I don't believe in stigmatizing sex work, but here's what I do believe in. I think it's crazy that the number of different sex openly promoting their fact that they're sex workers, working with the sensitive and vulnerable people of the Caravan, including unaccompanied minors. Am I the only person that thinks that this is just inappropriate? By the way, you guys haven't seen the conversations in WhatsApp, but I'll give you just a little taste of what Lilith Sinclair was talking about. She was saying, and these are her words, that this child needed personalized love. She also talked about letting him sleep in her vehicle. It just raised the hair on my neck. I don't know. I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong all the way around what they've done with this kid. Where are we?
Paula
the tags. Let's look at the tags on this post. Another post of hers. And it's from about 2 years ago, where she talks about public comments on the LA Sheriff's Department use of drones and their collaboration with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Dignity and Power Now, and ICE Out of LA. So she's part of these different groups that want to abolish ICE. And if you scroll down, she's got some people thanking her. She tags California Immigrant Youth Justice Alliance. Who else? The Youth Justice Coalition. Who else? The Los Angeles Immigration Youth Coalition. And Code Pink. Yep. Connected to immigration, getting rid of immigration, getting rid of, well, we're getting rid of the walls, we're getting rid of our government, we're getting rid of ICE, we're Get rid of throw it all out the window. Why, you know what? Why don't you just abolish the United States while you're at it? Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like, this is a kind of ridiculous thing I think that they're going for. They just want to blow the whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to share the videos that Paula Kahn had with Frances Fisher in them. So she's is close enough to Frances Fisher that she's actually videotaping Frances Fisher at different events. And I sent you, I will share those videos. I'm not going to bore you with watching them. But Justice Delegation, this is from Eyewitness. This is from the eyewitnesspalestine.org. Put out, I've shown this in my past show on BDS and on this Justice Delegation that went with Chase Iron Eyes and Tara Houska to Israel.
Oh, yeah.
Because I couldn't for the life of me remember when he was at the Indigenous Peoples March with that scarf that's so emblematic of, people in the Palestinian movement. Also, that Evan Duke practically has glued to his neck in every picture that you see him in. And when I saw Chase wearing that, I was like, what's going on? Can somebody please explain to me? Did Yonazda succeed in creating Lakota Nation of Islams? Is that what happened? And there was this Justice Delegation report on the people that were going that I shared on that show. And this was for the event, which was, it's already taken place. It was on, oops.
I don't know.
It's a long time ago. But if you click on the event, it's got a picture of Linda Sarsour right on it.
Yeah.
It was hosted by the Center for Constitutional Rights. And they talk about how this is made up of black, brown, and, they brand it as a bunch of social justice warriors that are going. And you can look at the list of names on this event thing. What do you see in this? Can you read those for me?
This one on this poster thing? Let's see.
It says the Justice Delegation calls allies together for an evening of cultural resistance and support for Palestinian rights.
Yep. Ashley Woodard Henderson, Chase Iron Eyes. The blue lettering doesn't work very well.
Darla Shamas, Jamil Takwar, Justin Hansford, Katherine,
Franke, Linda Sarsour, Marcia Smith, Vince Warren, Misamani, New York General Natasha Bannon, Rahul Sakensa, and Tamika Mallory.
Why isn't Tara Houska on this list? Because she was there. Tara Houska, that worked as a liaison to the Bernie Sanders campaign. Tara Houska, that was a Red Warrior camp leader. Tara Houska, that was one of the lawyers on the Water Protector Legal Collective. Why is her name missing from this poster? I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah.
I think she didn't want to be on there. But here's Chase and Tara in Israel. She was there, folks. I can prove it. And this is from her own page on May 1st. She's like, oh, we just bumped into each other. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Like, of course I found another native in this foreign place. Honored to, what is it? It went away. Yep. Honored to learn and stand with the human rights attorney delegation to Palestine. She says it's an attorney delegation. I don't know if there was all attorneys there. But then she says, humanity can and must do better. Palestinian rights, self-determination, resistance, solidarity, justice delegation. Scroll down, and there they are. There they are together. Now, are there more comments at the bottom or to the right?
I will look. They'd be at the bottom because there's nothing on the right. Okay.
Evan Santos hashtags Indigenous Rising, which is one of their media platforms, Indigenous Liberation, Free Borican, Free Hawaii, Semanawak, and then, there's somebody from our community. Keep going. Keep going. Who else do we got? The Bush Foundation. Bought and paid for by the Bush Foundation, they say.
Yeah.
They may have paid for it without even knowing it.
Maybe.
Well, they were denied. Oh, wait, I'm missing a couple more things here. Here's the Justice Delegation with Houska and Chase. Oh, no, that one, right? This is Chase's post. I missed one. Meet a brother in the middle of a bustling market in West Bank, Palestine, who says, Mitakuya Oyasin, we are all related. That's my relative to us. Thank you for the blessing, Rafiq.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, remember?
Mm-hmm.
That's the same scarf he was wearing at the Indigenous Peoples March in the picture with Nathan Phillips.
That's right.
Go back and look.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and look. Now, here's the Justice Delegation crew, all of the crew with Chase and Tara. And it's supposed by Natasha Bannon. That's her Twitter account. And it says the Justice Delegation visited I don't know how to say that. The Crete community, who lost their village after forced displacement in 1948 and have not been allowed back, despite a Supreme Court decision. Instead, Israel turned it into a military zone to prevent Palestine
right of return. And there's, in the picture, Tara Houska and Chase Iron Eyes. Mm-hmm.
You see them?
Yep.
There are other people from these pics I'm going to identify later on, but I don't want to get too much in the weeds here,
That's
folks.
right.
I want to get through this so you can understand it pretty quickly. Here's the next one. This is Justice Delegation with Houska and Chase. Oh, remember when I showed you this?
Yes.
And then there was up above them in the picture, Turtle Island, something to, from Turtle Island to Palestine, and it had a logo on it, and then there was another. It was a BDS associated logo, and it was tagged, and they were standing right underneath where that was tagged. And if you go to the comments on the right and make them bigger so we can read them for folks, you'll see that Matt Remmel, who's one of the associates that works with him on Last Real Indian, said, 2 of my faves right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Another guy says, Jed says, although inflammatory injustice is not a good pun, anti-Semitism is a problem. Be the anti-Zionist that you want to see in the world. Yeah. So he criticized them. Somebody criticized them, and Tara shoots back right away. We can't control what people tag, but if you look above us, my comment from Turtle Island to Palestine is above us. Indigenous solidarity is why we stood under the Turtle Island tag. Definitely not anti-Semitic in any capacity.
Right.
Well, some of your friends are.
Yep.
Some people you're associating with definitely are. And the next one is the lawyers delegation post where, I thought we already had that one, right?
Yes.
It must have gotten in there twice.
Okay.
I don't know what the silly thing is doing in there twice.
Ah.
Here's the people denied entry by the Justice Delegation. So, is this the one? Did I skip one? What happened?
That would be the next one. This was scene 9.
And now we're in scene 10. Justice Delegation. Okay, Tamika Mallory. It says, powerful group of American justice lawyers and civil rights organizers on the ground in the occupied territory. And It's tagging the Twitter accounts of Tara Houska, Tamika Mallory, and the Justice Delegation. Linda Sarsour was also there. Okay? Linda Sarsour was with them also.
Yeah.
In this next one, this article talks about how the Center for Constitutional Rights executive director and board chair were both denied entry into Isreal. I will share. Oh, wait. I guess I don't have the link to this, but you can find it from that title. And it says they had a trip planned to witness human rights situations in Israel and Palestine. Can you scroll up? May 1st, 2018. Vincent Warren, Executive Director of the Center for Constitutional Rights, and Katherine Franke, Chair of CCR's board, and Sulzbacher, Professor of Law, Gender, and Sexuality Studies at Columbia University, were detained Sunday, April 29, 24, for 14 hours and interrogated at Ben Gurion International Airport, then denied entry into Israel and deported. Does this sound familiar to you?
Yeah.
Does this sound... And you saw all of the articles where these folks were saying, oh, they threw them out of the country. This is so unfair. Al otro lado. Doug McLean, Myron Dewey, Lila Sinclair, Evan Duke. All of these folks were whining and complaining on social media, in articles in The Intercept. What's her name? Oh my God, what's her name? I forgot. That Kahana, the photographer that Doug McLean was promoting.
Oh, yeah.
As well as, let me quickly open this Muckrock request for records that was sent pursuant to an Freedom of Information Act for the records on Nora Phillips by an attorney that wanted to get to the bottom of why these folks were stopped. So they were looking for the names Erica Pinheiro, which is the name of one of the other attorneys who was stopped at the border and not allowed to enter Mexico. Kitra Kahana was the reporter. Daniel Ochoa was another photographer, photojournalist or something. And of course, Nora Phillips, as we know. I suspect that all of those people, even though they say, we don't have anything to do with each other, probably do, quite extensively, in fact. And that their cries that they're being unfairly treated have a lot more to do with the fact that they're doing shady things with shady groups that have connections to terrorism than their complaints that they're victims of the right, victims of a Republican administration, victims of racism, victims of xenophobia by Mexicans, etc., etc., etc. In this case, I'm showing you the similarities so you can see the kind of tactic that is used by people like Linda Sarsour, that is used by people like Nathan Phillips and Chase Iron Eyes, that is used by the people that are part of this Caravan support network to deflect criticism of any evidence. And I have shown you mountains, tons of evidence on every single show that they are crimemen. They are actively criming, defrauding, raping, lying, creating fake hate crimes over and over and over and over again, and they get away with it. And if you point a finger and go, aha, I got you, dead to rights, here's all the evidence, they go, why don't you talk about the genocide of this or that? Yeah. And it's like maddening. Am I crazy, Duke?
No, you're not crazy. No, it still comes back to this thing that's been going on that they really have effectively promoted is you don't criticize activists. You don't criticize water protectors. Somehow they are in this golden moment of being honored so much across the country. So many people have fallen into it, you see,
Yeah.
that they don't want to backtrack and say, oops, been supporting the wrong people. They just keep on going and keep on going. And if you start showing that they are dirty, then it's like, oh, they oust you, and it's like you're the one that's the problem, not them. They've effectively done this. They have built this up. I mean, they spent over a year setting themselves up for this. They got so much support from rich people, actors, foundations, all these institutions, presenting them, giving them money. It's like people can't go backwards now and go, oops, we were supporting the wrong people. They're a bunch of criminals, but we can't let that out. We'll just have to, just kind of keep towing the tide, keep on pulling that same rope and move on, because people like you would just disappear.
So rather than simply say to you, as many people have said to you in the past, and just having an impasse in the conversation where you go, you're doing something wrong, and they go, don't criticize me. Why don't you focus on all the murders that have taken place over there?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, well, I'm talking to you about the crime you've committed recently. Can we talk about that fake marriage al otro lado? Can we talk about that kidnapping of a child? Caravan support network? Can we talk about your support of a terrorist, of a Guerrero Ulloa? Why can't we talk about that? Why is it that every time anybody brings up Nathan Phillips or Marcus Mitchell's fraud or the crimes committed by Activate Now reporters, and the list goes on and on and on and on, the only thing we hear is a cacophony of, look over there. Seriously. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm taking the time to point it out, to show you what the tactic is, to throw a red herring so that you do not focus on them and pin them down. But I am not going to stop. I am going to demand accountability for what these folks have done, are doing, will continue to do. And I'm going to show you exactly what their MO is so that you are hip to it. Mm-hmm. So you know how to combat it. Because it is a ton of veneer, window dressing, and it's trying to get people to focus somewhere else. Can you go back to that article for a second? It's really important that we look at what happened in this particular situation and look at some of the similarities I'm trying to point out to you with regard to this. Warren and Frank were asked about... Oh, wait, I skipped a piece. They were detained Sunday at... Is that movable?
Yeah.
Oh, April 29 for 14 hours, interrogated at the Ben Gurion International, then denied entry into Israel, and deported.
Yes.
Arrived back in New York early Monday morning. Warren and Frank were questioned about their political associations with human rights groups that have been critical of Israel's human rights record.
Okay.
They were questioned about groups like BDS. The Israeli government denied U.S. entry apparently because it feared letting in people who might challenge its policies. That's what the quote is from one of the people that was deported.
Yeah, I can see that.
He says, this is something that we should neither accept nor condone from a country that calls itself a democracy, Warren said. Our trip sought to explore the intersection of black and brown people's experiences in the U.S. with the situation of Palestine and Israel. Could not have been made that connection more clear. Mm-hmm. Warren and Frank were part of a trip that brought together mostly black and brown civil and human rights leaders working on domestic U.S. justice issues who have not had an opportunity to visit Palestine and Israel. The Justice Delegation was planned to provide an opportunity to better understand the human rights situation in Israel and Palestine, including the history of systemic displacement and institutionalized racism, as well as the work of human rights defenders there. Obviously, coming from the source that it came from in the publication that it came from, they're not giving you Israel's side and why their customs people said, you can't come into our country, we detain you, we deport you, and also they're banned from going to Israel forever.
Wow.
They were banned forever. Can't ever go back. So they really mucked that up. They were not happy at all. They posted a picture of themselves when they were leaving the airport under the welcome sign saying, don't believe the welcome sign. It's not true. Here, the Center for Constitutional Rights Executive Director and Board Chair article is shared by someone named Ashley Woodard Henderson with a quote from this article saying, breaking, Vince Warren and Katherine Franke were detained for 14 hours, interrogated. It's basically the same quote I just read to you. And again, this person is resorting to telling you that the reason, and you're just supposed to believe it out of whole cloth, the reason why they were questioned, detained for 14 hours, that's a long time, and then deported, summarily deported, has nothing to do with nefarious or criminal activity. It's all because Israel doesn't want to be held accountable. They're not a real democracy. They're, the fact that they kicked these people out of their country is an illustration of the close proximity between the racism and the displacement of black people in America and Palestinians. Supposed to be, bring them together in their
solidarity.
It's solidarity because they they got deported. And I think that's what that Intercept article and the LA Times article that featured all of these people, and I think the San Diego Union Tribune article in which Doug McLean and Jake Lee also appeared. Both of them were also questioned, etc. But they all have something in common. They're involved with the Caravan Support Network, which we now know, which I showed you clear evidence of, being involved with trafficking drugs to the migrant caravan and kidnapping a child that is an unaccompanied minor. Not to mention their ties to Al Otro Lado, that actually gives false and misleading information to people so that they can file false claims of asylum. Do you know how unfair that is to both the asylum seekers that are in this caravan, the asylum seekers that are in the United States that have been waiting for a hearing for 2 or 3 years, the people that are here that are trying to apply, that those folks refuse to wait in an orderly fashion to be called. Rather, many of them are crossing the border illegally with the help of these people in the Caravan Support Network. So they're jumping to the front of the line, jumping the queue, and they're bottlenecking a system. Some of these claims being done by Al Otro Lado are false. They have false information. And it is unethical. I believe it is criminal what they're doing. But I also think it is incredibly unfair and super hypocritical. Don't you think so? Because they're literally driving people to fill up these detention centers. Why do Americans have to pay to keep these folks in a detention facility up until the point of their hearing, which could take a year or longer, when we know that a majority of these claims are going to be denied? I mean, it seems ridiculous. Who would even want to do that to their family members?
Plus, I think it's really gumming up the system horribly. And also, I think it's creating this animosity towards immigrants and to migrants that is, turning, the hatred was already there. But what they're doing is that they're solidifying that hatred. And like you said, there's people who have been in this country and they've been working on this for years and they've had to wait. And it's jeopardizing their everyday livability, the relationships they've set up in the community, the good they've done in the community on cultivating and spending their time in developing families and developing lives. Those people are forgotten, and they're hated as these newcomers are coming in, taking advantage of Mexico, making the Mexican citizens very angry, and just because they are being treated so differently than Mexican immigrants who have tried to get in the United States. And it is creating this hatred and feeding this hatred that is just going right along with what people wanted to say in the first place, but it's being expanded to everybody. And it's been mainly from Hondurans, and Central Americans that have been doing this in the past 4 or 5 months. It is having a backlash that is hurting everybody.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's very disheartening because it's also hurting relations between Central America and Mexico. Mexico is not xenophobic. The people that are trying to protect Mexico, that are complaining about the behavior of these caravans, are not racist. You cannot just paint everyone with a broad brush because they want to protect their country from people who are killing agents, who are violent, who are openly using drugs, violating the norms and the laws of Mexico. And people there have had enough. They are begging the president of Mexico to do something. They're trying to hold the people in government accountable. But as you know, Mexico's level of corruption, Mexico's level of dysfunction, Mexico's lack of resources is well documented. This is not a problem. And a lot of folks that have watched my show are like, Cindy, why aren't the people of Mexico doing more? Believe me, the people of Mexico are twisting themselves into pretzels to try to do more. Have you heard what Mexicans like Oscar are doing? Have you heard Alfredo Alvarez? Have you heard Ibrahim Aros? Have you heard all of these reporters, all of these people in Mexico that are bringing you this information, bringing you this news, trying to get delegations to speak to the president, business leaders, all sorts of folks have gone and talked and done what they can, but there's only so much that the people there can do. And people in America really need to take a look at the power behind these groups and the rhetoric that drives their activities. Next, I wanted to show you this. Is that the one that we just looked up?
Yeah, I have to go back down and switch it to the next one.
I see. Sorry. This is a quote from the woman lawyer, Katherine Franke, who was arrested. And she says in this article where she's quoted, Franke told me they were not interested in why I was there. So this is them, she's relaying what they questioned her about in a little more detail. She says, they already had a story. I was the leader of Jewish Voices for Peace. I was there to promote the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. All this untrue. It quickly ramped up to where the guy was yelling at me for lying. I wonder why he would be calling you a liar.
Exactly.
Maybe it's because there's a lot of evidence that you lied. And then it says he Googled my name and he came up with a, wait for it, right-wing trolling site. So it says like Canary Mission or AMCHA. I don't know what those are. No. But what I can tell you is that she's not giving us the direct site, because if he showed it to her and said, look, here it says that you are connected to Jewish Voices for Peace and that you are with BDSM and that there is a concern for us, why are you denying your connections to these organizations? And she basically writes off what they accused her of by saying, oh, it comes from the right. If it came from a Republican, it must be a lie. If it came from a Republican or right-leaning site, it may be a lie. It has to be a lie. or you can just claim it's a lie and it'll be fine. And then she goes, that push out, this site she claims, push out ugly stuff about faculty held to be enemies of Israel. Faculty members that are enemies of Israel? Wow. It's a right-wing trolling site? Okay. And then Frank asks, how is it that Israel delegates to write? Is it delegates?
Yeah, it delegates to right-wing trolls the job of determining who should be admitted to Israel.
I don't think they did. Do you really believe that Israel was like, oh, this right-wing troll site said that you can't come in our country, and that's how we make our decisions about our security. Our national security in Israel is determined by the interwebs. Really? I mean, this is a lawyer and a professor, apparently, trying to convince you that the only reason this happened to her was because of right-wing trolls.
I see.
Is it something you believe, Duke?
No.
Is it easily believable that a government would do that?
No, not at all.
A country would defend itself or protect itself and say, you're connected to a group that is on our list of terrorist organizations. You cannot come in here.
Yeah, they're doing their own research. I mean, they're looking things up and they're explaining. I thought they were really nice too for saying you can't come into this country. We're going to deport you. You know, they were the videos we saw of that happening. They weren't. You know, their detainment was not that uncomfortable. And it's like, I think any country has a right to decide that someone shouldn't be able to come in if they think that they mean them harm. It's a prerogative of going to another country because it's another country. If you're taking this this privilege of being the white American who has basically privilege all over the world.
One of them was black.
Okay, well, it's the same attitude. I'm not talking about the actual race of the people, but that operate as activists, that they're more important than other people because they have a cause. And then they should be let in because their cause connects with these people's cause. And the government's saying, nah, I don't think so. I think that you might be a danger. I think that's totally appropriate for a country to do.
And they did it. It was done. It's finished.
Yep.
But the way in which they rolled out the campaign to distract and because it's a big deal when a country says you have ties to something that is a hate group and a terrorist organization that wants to end the state of Israel, and they point you out and go, boop, you're deported from our country. Don't ever come back.
Yeah.
And it makes international news. That's hard to walk back. Doesn't matter how many trolls you claim are responsible on the right for you getting deported. You got some splaining to do.
Yep.
And splain they did. They used all the media platforms and all of the phonies and all of the people that support all of these different groups to unanimously say, oh, the reason is it's Trump's fault. They talk about how they've criticized the Trump administration or people on the right, and that's the real reason why. Okay? Do we have Frank on JVP next?
Yes.
Is that the one that's next?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what people on the internet in Twitter were saying, because they know the truth and they called her out. He says, let's have some intellectual honesty here at Vince Warren. If you support BDS, you're not looking to change Israel's policies. You're trying to eliminate Jewish human rights. That's why you were denied entry. And Frank is on the Academic Advisory Council for Jewish Voices for Peace. So no, you don't get permission to enter a country whose national existence you are actively working to undermine and eliminate. That's right. Thank you, Mike Harris. I'm guessing by the Star of David, that is his avatar, that he is Jewish.
Yes.
And he's like, no, let me explain this to you. You didn't get let in, and here's the real reason why.
Exactly.
So I want for folks to realize that this smoke screen that has been tossed out in the media by Latino rebels, by LA Times, by the San Diego Union, whatever the heck it was, and all these, The Intercept, and all of these other media allies that they have saying, this is preposterous. Mexico doesn't have the right to stop us. And yes, they do. And they did. It's already happened. So here is Israel. You know, here's how they were talking about Israel showed their far right tendencies. And this is from an article in which it says organizers said it was a way for the delegation members to meet fellow Israeli and Palestinian lawyers and activists who, like them, they said worked on issues of institutionalized racism, immigration rights, and the treatment of asylum seekers.
Okay.
Franke, who is on the executive committee of Columbia's University Center for Palestine Studies, has visited Israel many times previously, most recently last October. The trip would have been Warren's second to Israel. His first was in 2016, leading another delegation that also met with Israeli and Palestinian human rights groups. Both Franke and Warren, along with the rest of their group, had excited passport control and were waiting for their bags. Exited passport control, and were waiting for their bags when the pair were stopped by security officials and taken away for questioning. They said the two were separated during questioning. Franke all alleged that the security official who questioned her showed her a far right website on his phone, which she said appeared to be an anti-BDS troll website. So now I want you to understand what the conclusion of this is, because it doesn't. In the other article I showed you, it wasn't as clear. If at first they were attacking professors who were they claim are enemies of Israel. That's what she said in the other article, the constitutional, whatever it was. This one, she's saying, no, it's an anti-BDS troll website accusing her of being an enemy of Israel. So if it's an anti-BDS troll website, then being pro-BDS it can't be construed as anti-Semitic. You can't criticize people like Ilhan Omar, although Nancy Pelosi has, and others for their anti-Semitic views connected to BDS, because if you claim that BDS movement is anti-Semitic, and it is, as Mike Harris just pointed out, it is a way of stopping any kind of questioning or holding people accountable for what they've said. Can you put that back up for me? She said the official called her a leader of JBP and the BDS movement itself. She said that when she denied this, he repeatedly accused her of lying. The far-right website... Was that it? Okay. Thank you. So, note how the deflection is always, it's the right. It's the far right.
Yeah.
We're not the extremists here. They are. There's the extremists you're looking for. We are not the extremists that you're looking for. But you are. That's why they kicked you. That's why they deported you out of the country. And Al Otro Lado did the same thing, saying they were deported because of the right, because of the Trump administration, because of people that follow that. So this is from the LA Times article that I showed you previously. And the top portion shows a picture of Nora Phillips crying. Very dramatic. I think she was really ticked off that they caught her and Erica Pinheiro lying. They did lie. They said they were there for vacation.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't there for vacation. They were there to meet with the Caravan. And that's what the pastor told you on my show. He knows exactly what's going on in Mexico. He knows exactly. Why do you suppose Pastor Rivera took the time to expose Al Otro Lado on my show in his interview and tell you not only about the fake marriages, but about the reason why this woman was deported? Because people like him are sick of seeing lies like this in the news where people don't acknowledge why. The real reason why these folks are being looked at. And it has nothing to do with the right. Can you put that one up again? It says, at a news conference upon her return to the international airport on Friday, Phillips said Mexican officials insinuated that it wasn't Mexico that had placed the alert. She believes the U.S. government is to blame, although she provides no evidence. Trump administration officials have repeatedly accused immigration attorneys of coaching migrants to make false asylum claims. Now, I want to pause there for a minute to say that in another separate article, that is a blog post in the, it's in the Latino Rebel article that I found about the same issue. It has more detail. It mentions that Nicole Ramos was also targeted, and she didn't even go to Mexico.
Okay.
So it wasn't just these two lawyers. The LA Times article doesn't even really talk about this, but this other article that I will share with you does, and in it says, in addition to Nora's summary ejection from Mexico, Al Otro Lado's litigation and policy director Erica Pinheiro was also detained upon admission to Mexico, and refugee program director Nicole Ramos had her Sentry trusted traveler status revoked by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. What? She didn't even go there. But they go, you know what? You have one of these advanced, quick get-through customs, easily go back and forth at the border crossing when you go to airports into Mexico and anywhere else you travel. We're taking that away now. They took it from her.
Mm-hmm.
And they complained in here. They say, mind you, CBP only approves Sentry status, which allows expedited clearance for pre-approval to low-risk travelers returning to the U.S. That's because you're not low risk anymore, Nicole.
Exactly.
That's why they took it away, because you're not low risk anymore. After a rigorous background check and an in-person interview, which Nicole had passed. Yeah, but you failed it now.
Mm-hmm.
You failed it now. The fact that Sentry can only be revoked by CBP points to whose government is behind this move. So why did they fail to tell the LA Times? Because they just said right there, put it back up. She provided no evidence. Why not just tell them? Oh, because in addition to that, Nicole Ramos, our other lawyer and co-founder, has had her Sentry removed. And only Border Patrol can do that. Because then you'd have to wonder, what is this whole law organization Al Otro Lado doing that they would target all of their main lawyers and say, don't come back to Mexico? Well, it says the Trump administration officials have repeatedly accused immigration attorneys of coaching migrants to make false asylum claims. In 2017, then Attorney General Sessions criticized what he called dirty immigration lawyers who are encouraging the otherwise unlawfully present clients to make false claims of asylum. I think this is what Phillips said. I think this is retaliation. I think this is because we and the U.S. government, we sued the U.S. government. I think that we're pointing out gross, flagrant human rights violations being committed by the U.S. government, and they don't like that. Pinheiro, the group's policy and litigation director, said Mexican immigration officials turned her away under similar circumstances Monday as she sought to cross into Tijuana on foot. Piñero, who is a U.S. citizen living in Tijuana, said she was denied the chance to fetch her 10-month-old son, who has dual citizenship and was in Tijuana at the time. Well, all I can say to that is you shouldn't be getting involved with groups that are giving drugs to migrants like Caravan Support Network, or taking children like the Caravan Support Network did, and giving fake marriages to migrants of the caravan like you've been accused of doing by the pastor, and which proof I have shown here on a Mexican Crossing Lines. In my next shows, in my upcoming shows, I'm going to bring you much more on Code Pink and the other organizations connected to these groups. Please come back for our next show and share this far and wide so everyone can know what the Code Pink Caravan connections are. Thank you for being with Cindy Gomez-Schempp
and Duke Gomez-Schempp
on Mexican Crossing Lines here on 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Thank you and good night.